Hey guys, what is up? This is Ben Falcon's Media Corner, and welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw. But this time, this is actually another double movie review, aka After I Saw, which I haven't done these kind of reviews in a while. The first time I did this was back in January, which I reviewed both, which I did my reviews on both Penguin Bloom and The Dig, which they were both released on Netflix. So you guys can check out my video for that review, if you want to know my views on both of those movies. And so today I'll be talking about two superhero films, which one of them was released last year and the other was released this year. So today I'm going to be talking about both on Wonder Woman 1984 and Zack Snyder's Justice League. So let's kick off with Wonder Woman 1984 first. So Wonder Woman 1984, this is the sequel to the 2017 terrific superhero film known as Wonder Woman from the DC Extended Universe. And this was directed once again by Patty Jenkins, who made the first terrific film. And she also wrote this film as well. So this is the first time she's ever done a written work for a superhero film, which she hasn't done any writing credits in a movie in a while, since 2003 Monster with Charlize Theron, which I haven't seen that film yet, but again I would really like to check out the movie at some point, since from what I've heard from what people say about that movie. So in this sequel to Wonder Woman, we basically see Diana, once again played by Gal Gadot, and basically she's now a businesswoman, and basically this movie takes place in the 80s. In which we do see Diana as a businesswoman, but we also see that she's of course Wonder Woman, and basically what happens is she has to come forces against with this evil Maxwell Lord played by Pedro Pascal, who's this oil businessman who is suddenly losing his business and his money, and basically he comes across this wishing stone, which grants him wishes which basically he wants to become more powerful so he can get his business back of sorts. And we also see this woman named Barbara, played by Kristen Wiig, who is a shy woman who intends not to be really that shy. She also comes across this stone, and she basically wants to get a few wishes that can change her. And from that, she causes havoc, of course. And also we see Steve Trevor, once again played by Chris Pine, who's Diana's old love interest from the past. And basically we see that he's come back, even though something really strange is really going on. And so we basically see Diana trying to figure out what's going on, as well as stop these two evil villains from doing the most evil plans they are doing to the city and the world. So that's pretty much the story of Wonder Woman 1984. So for going into the sequel, I was of course really looking forward to this movie because I really enjoyed the first movie a lot from 2017. I thought it was a terrific fun movie. Back then I didn't even know what to expect from the original Wonder Woman, because back then the DCU, they went for a darker approach, a more serious tone, instead of being like what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing, which it didn't really work for me whatsoever at first. But there was a few that I kind of enjoyed, like Man of Steel. Man of Steel, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag really for me. I know there's a few people who kind of enjoyed Man of Steel, and there's a few who didn't really appreciate the film that much, but I still think it's a mixed movie for me, although it's not the worst I've seen, and it's definitely not the worst Superman movie I've seen, and it's nowhere near as good as my first two original favorite ones that I loved with Christopher Reeve. And then after that we've had Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which it was sort of in the middle for me, that film, but going back onto it, I can see why people weren't really the biggest fan of that one. It's not my favorite in the DC Extended Universe, although there were some good points to that film, even though there wasn't much that wasn't that good in the sequel overall. That good in that movie as well, but there was still some enjoyment for that, but there was still not so really there was just nothing really that good in that film whatsoever. And then after that we've had Suicide Squad as well, which that was also released the same year as Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which was in 2016. With Suicide Squad, some people kind of mixed on that as well. A few of my friends really enjoyed that movie. I did enjoy it a bit, but there were some issues I did have with it, and I didn't hate it like critics did. Some critics weren't a fan of it, and there were some who kind of appreciated it a bit, even though, again, there was just some points in the film I thought were kind of a bit bad. They were just not like extremely bad. They were just like for me when I saw those issues, but it's not the worst DC Extended Universe film I've seen in the filmography. Because again, my least favorite's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, but still, though, Suicide Squad, I still think it's kind of a mixed bag for me whatsoever. And so when I went to check out the first Wonder Woman, I didn't even know what to expect. As soon as I started watching it, I was having fun watching it. It was action packed, it was bright, and it was really exciting. And so when I heard we were getting a sequel, I was of course really looking forward to it, seeing Patty Jenkins come back in the director's chair, as well as Gal Gadot coming back as Wonder Woman. And I was really surprised like Chris Pine was going to come back for this one, even though for what happens to his character in the first film, which I won't spoil for you for those who have not seen the first film, because you should check out the first film first before you do actually check out the sequel. Just to inform you guys, for those who really want to check out Wonder Woman as well as the sequel. For the new cast of characters in the film, you got Pedro Pascal, which he's a talented actor. I haven't seen much films, but he is talented, and he plays the villain in the movie. And you got Kristen Wiig as well, which that was a big surprise as well, because I mostly see her as as a funny woman in like raunchy comedies or family comedies, some like animated voice work, like in the Despicable Me movies, which I liked her in, and there was a few like raunchy comedies I liked her in, like Bridesmaids, which that's one of my favorite comedies of the 2010s, and one of my favorite films of 2011. And it was really surprised to see her being in this movie. So, again, like I said, I was really looking forward to this movie, but unfortunately, it did not. There was no. And my plans did not go well for this film. While I was originally going to see it, because my cinemas were still closed due to the pandemic of the coronavirus. Because in my area, my cases were a bit high due to the coronavirus. So I wanted to see this in cinemas, but unfortunately, my plans were scrapped. So I had to watch this at home just to be safe. Well, it was still released in some cinemas in other areas where they had no high cases or anything of the coronavirus. So, but so I watched this on my Fire Stick. Because I was so dying to watch this one since I love the first film. So I finally watched the sequel, and this sequel, it wasn't as good as the first film, but it wasn't awful or anything. There was still some enjoyment I had in the sequel, but it's overall a bit disappointing film. But it's kind of a half decent movie, but it was really just a really disappointing film. It was just a disappointing film. It's not like the most very disappointing film I saw of 2020, but I still had enjoyment overall from what I was watching. Like mainly the action sequences, which the action sequences were pretty exciting. Like the opening scene where we see a young Diana, which that scene was really interesting and really fun, as well as the mall scene, which that scene is mostly shown in the trailers. So this is not a spoiler, but the mall scene I thought that was a really exciting sequence, because mainly the direction for this film it's more bright and colorful than the first Wonder Woman was. For those action sequences, like I said, in the mall, like the color tone of it just reminds me of old superhero films I wanted to watch when I was a kid, like the two original Christopher Reeve Superman movies, as well as the first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Which the color tones for those movies, they're really bright and fun and exciting, and this film did show that, which it really made me happy while I was watching those action sequences. And there was some other action sequences as well that I really enjoyed as well, like the highway chase scene of sorts, and as well as the action scene between Diana and Cheetah, which I really enjoyed that sequence as well. It was really exciting and fun, and there wasn't any any other action sequences that were forgettable, but still, though, the action sequences, they weren't awful. They were still fun and exciting for the most part. And as for performances, Gal Gadot, she is still, of course, badass as Wonder Woman and Diana. I thought she was awesome in this movie still. And she always delivers a good performance whenever she plays, Wonder Woman. Chris Pine, which it was a really big surprise to see him coming back for the sequel as Steve Trevor. He was really good as well. And there was some odd character development I had with him in the film, like what was going on with him, with himself, along with Diana in this film. And I mean, it was still pretty funny to see what was going on, but there were some elements I just thought was a bit messy. Mainly its plot, which that's the biggest issue with. The plot was a bit messy, and there were some plot holes and subplots that were really uninteresting. mainly for its villain, which is Maxwell Lord, which for his storyline, for his plot hole in this film, I thought it was just really uninteresting because there's mainly two of them, which seeing him being like this villain and then this sort of like relationship he has with his son, which that just felt a bit really uninteresting for me, and I wasn't getting like angry while I was watching it. I was getting a little. It was almost making me be a little bit bored when I was watching those scenes. But it wasn't like Pedro Pascal's acting in this movie was awful and making his character uninteresting. No, his acting was good as the villain. It's just his development I thought was just a bit uninteresting, and other performances as well. They got Kristen Wiig as Barbara, who also becomes the cheater in the film. I thought she was pretty good in the movie. Although again, her character development just felt like other comic book characters, because for her character, it's basically sort of like a shy woman who is sort of like kind of like a big fan of something. It just reminded me of the other comic book characters we've had before, like in these kind of comic book films. We've had that before with Jim Carrey as the Riddler in Batman Forever, and Jamie Foxx as Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That just really felt familiar to me when I was watching this movie. But still, though, I thought everyone delivered really good performances. It's just some of the character developments I thought was just a bit messy, and there was just some plot holes that were just really uninteresting, despite the fact that this film is even longer than the first film. Because the first film was 2 hours and 24 minutes, but this one's 2 hours and 31 minutes. But still, though, Wonder Woman 1984, I still had a really fun time. I still had an enjoyable time watching this one. Again, it's not as good as the first film. It's not awful. It was just a little bit. It was just a bit disappointing, but it was still had some enjoyment. I think it's just overall kind of a half decent movie, but it was kind of like okay at the same time. But it's not the worst DCU film I've seen since Batman v Superman. But if you're a fan of Wonder Woman and if you want to see the sequel, this is definitely what I would kind of recommend this one if you're a fan of Wonder Woman or anything like that. Or if you're just mainly a fan of the DCU and if you've not seen this, I would check it out if you want to see it for yourself, for those who are dying to see this film. So I'm going to give Wonder Woman 1984 a 3 out of 5. Now let's move on to Zack Snyder's Justice League. So Zack Snyder's Justice League, this is basically the Snyder cut of the 2017 film known as Justice League, in which we've had that already back in 2017, of course. And as you guys may know, that film faced a lot of difficult production, which back then Zack Snyder's daughter tragically committed suicide, so Zack Snyder himself had to step away from the production. And then Joss Whedon, director of the Avengers as well as Age of Ultron, came in to finish the rest of the film by doing a bunch of reshoots and rewrites. And some people weren't that kind of happy with the film we ended up getting. Well, most people are kind of mixed on the 2017 version of Justice League, in which for myself, I think it's kind of a mixed film for me, even though it's not the best in the DC Extended Universe. I actually think the movie, I think it's mediocre. I think it's just mediocre. Again, it's not the worst DCU film I've seen in my life, but it's just overall not the best film. And so we have now officially got the new cut of Justice League by Zack Snyder himself. Basically his own version that he always wanted to make, but with a whole bunch of, instead of having the whole reshoots and all that kind of stuff we had in the 2017 version of Justice League. So if you don't know the story of Justice League, the story is basically about, of course, what happened with Superman in Justice League is that, of course, he did a selfless act to basically when he was trying to save the world of sorts. And basically what happens is we see, of course, Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, played by Ben Affleck, once again from Batman v Superman, as well as Justice League, the Whedon cut. Basically, he teams up with Diane, also known as Wonder Woman, once again played by Gal Gadot, and basically they have to form a sort of like a big team where there's this new threat that's basically happening, known as Steppenwolf, who's played by Kieran Hines, and basically Batman and Wonder Woman team up with a bunch of other superheroes who join along with them, and they form a team known as Justice League. So we basically see the new members of the team, which involve Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa, Cyborg, played by Ray Fisher, and The Flash, played by Ezra Miller. And basically these team of superheroes have to team up together to basically stop Steppenwolf from taking over the world. So that's pretty much the story of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So for going into the Snyder Cut, I didn't even know if I wanted to check this out or not, because of the whole like craziness I heard about in the news about hearing about this movie, about people wanted to see the different version of this film, of the original Justice League film, which again, I think that film was mediocre at best. It was mediocre. It wasn't terrible or anything. People were kind of mixed on the 2017 version of Justice League, but I don't hate the movie. I just think it's just, again, mediocre. But it was just a few things. There was just some issues I did have with that, but they were much more improved in this one, which definitely, for all I can say about this version of Justice League, the Snyder cut, it's absolutely great, and it's way better than the Whedon cut we've had back in 2017. I really enjoyed this one a lot, and this movie, it is so damn long. It's 4 hours and 2 minutes. Oh my god. In which I had to take a break while I was watching this movie. I had to stretch my legs and get a few snacks and drinks to basically keep my energy going while I was watching this movie. But I was still having an exciting time watching this film. The action sequences I liked a lot more than the Snyder cut. The action sequences are violent in this one. I was surprised to see this film being violent than the Whedon cut. The Whedon cut's not violent or anything. It's just more of a lighthearted film. But this one's mainly kind of like going for a dark approach, which I thought Zack Snyder did a great job with this. For his action sequences, which again, they were really exciting and fun and violent, which that was a big surprise to see on screen. And the character developments are way more improved than we've had in the Whedon cut. I really understand the character developments mainly for like the new members who joined, you know, with Wonder Woman and Batman. Like the Flash, who's getting played by Ezra Miller. I thought his character development, I really cared for him the most, because his father's in prison, and basically we see him like dealing with his powers of sorts, and other stuff, and I really liked his character development as well when he is mainly like a superhero along with Batman and Wonder Woman. Like he provides few comic relief, which were really fun. I really enjoyed those scenes, because again in the Whedon cut, I thought there was some that didn't work for me, but this one, Zack Snyder, I think he did a major improvement with. And for the character of Cyborg, who's played by Ray Fisher, I really liked his character development in that one, because we do learn about himself, about his family, which that also was really interesting as well, because, you know, he went through a lot with his family, and then things started to change from after all the situation he's faced with his family, which I really understand that a lot more than the Whedon cut, like I said. And the performances were, of course, really great. Ben Affleck, he still kills it as Batman, but he's not like my number one favorite Batman, but he was still great and badass as Batman. And there was no cringe moment with Batman like what happened with the Whedon cut, because again, Zack Snyder, he just honestly improved this so much than the original cut we've had. Again, which I can't stop saying that from when I'm talking about this movie. But again, Ben Affleck, I thought he still kills it as Batman. And Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman still really badass, like she was in her own film, as well as in Batman v Superman, as well as the sequel, which I just already talked about. And you got Henry Cavill as Superman, really awesome, and I really liked his more of an improvement characterization in this one, a lot more than the Whedon cut, because there wasn't that much into it. There wasn't that much into him in Justice League in the Whedon cut, but I like this one. I liked what they did with the character of Superman in that one, and when we see big changes around him in the film, I absolutely was it had me so excited when I was watching it. And Henry Cavill, I still think he was really good as Superman. And you got Jason Momoa as Aquaman, of course. He's still really fun. He was great in the movie. And Ezra Miller as the Flash, really fun and likable, and he is really funny as well. I really liked Ezra Miller as the Flash. And Ray Fisher as the Cyborg, he was really good too. All the acting in the film were also really good. And you got other previous actors who were in other previous DCU projects, like you've got J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, and you've got Amy Adams as Lois Lane, and you even got Jared Leto as the Joker of this one. And everyone else, I thought they delivered really good performances outside the main cast of characters who, of course, play our main heroes. And the issue I did have with it was mainly its runtime. The runtime of this film I thought was a bit too long, obviously, but it didn't feel like, to me, sort of like a 4-hour film. It felt like, to me, kind of like a movie that was like 3 hours or something, instead of being 4 hours. And from the way it's made, from its direction by Zack Snyder, it did feel like a TV movie of sorts, because it's cut into 6 parts, and there's an epilogue in this at the end of this film, which I won't spoil for you for what happens. Because again, I really recommend this movie if you've heard about the Snyder Cut already, and if you're dying to see it since you've already seen the Whedon Cut, go watch it. But the way it's made, there's a 4:3 aspect ratio, which I thought was well directed, and it's a really great choice in what Zack Snyder did, because of course the one we've had was proper made. It was probably well filmed. It was like well film made, like what films are like nowadays. But this one is, again, it's a 4:3 aspect ratio, which is basically squared. I really like that. I thought it was a well made directed. I thought it was well made for its direction by Snyder himself. But like I said, the main issue of it was just mainly its runtime, like I said, which it just felt a bit too long. And to me, it didn't feel like it was like 4 hours and 2 minutes. It just felt like it was 3 hours or something. Like, say, like it felt like, to me, like Avengers Endgame again. But still, though, I had a great time with the Snyder Cut, and this is, again, a way more better improvement than the Joss Whedon version we've had in 2017. And again, if you've already heard about this, if you already heard about the Snyder Cut and you're dying to see this, go and check this out. So I'm gonna give Zack Snyder's Justice League a 4 out of 5. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching for my double movie review, aka After Assault, on both Wonder Woman 1984 and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Let me know what you think of these two movies. Well, let me know what you think of Wonder Woman 1984. Did you have an exciting time with it, or were you let down with this one? And for Zack Snyder's Justice League, did you have an awesome time with it, or still weren't you really a fan of Justice League overall? So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next AK After Assault review, which I'm not sure what it's going to be, but Friday I'm going to be reviewing the new Mortal Kombat. So I think tomorrow I will do both reviews on, well, separate reviews before the new one comes out this Friday, which is I'm going to be reviewing the original Mortal Kombat, and then Mortal Kombat Annihilation on Thursday. I can't wait to review those movies. So again, as always, this has been Falcons Media Corner signing off.